Hey everyone, welcome to Last Week in Cannabis, your cannabis news show. We do this show every week um, and try to cover the news, events, policies, legal decisions, and important announcements in the cannabis world each week. Um, this week we have Chicken Hole, Fish Ganja Guy, and Roger. Um, Roger, why don't you
Good.
tell people how to find you?
Well, I work over at ilovegrowingmarijuana.com, where we got some of the best genetics and nutrients on the planet.
Cool.
Great, friendly, very friendly forum. If you're scared of forums, you can join ours. We're run by an older bunch of people that respect the older group of people that are now growing cannabis for medical purposes, and we love to invite you over there. And we'll teach you how to be successful from start to finish on your first grow, guarantee you.
Awesome. Sorry, I'm having some issues here a second. I don't know why that's not wanting to connect. All right, usually I have my other device up for the chat so I can have them both open at once and it's not behaving.
Well, meanwhile, Fish, why don't David? Why
Yeah,
don't
Fish
you
Ganja Guy.
he
Oh
muted.
yeah. Yeah, David, why don't you tell people how to find you?
Also at ilovegrowingmarijuana.com. I'm a mentor on there. I enjoy helping anybody I can help. We have a good time over there. It's been very successful for a lot of people, and it's just a great time all around.
And you specialize in oils and tinctures and stuff like that. You teach people about that over there too, right?
Edibles,
Yeah.
anything I can help with, I'm on it.
And so come see Hogmaster over there at I Love Growing Marijuana if you want that advice. So.
Awesome. And Fish Ganja Guy, how about you?
I prefer staying hidden and under the radar, but that's cool.
No, I meant how do people find you on like on YouTube or?
Bro, I'm like Waldo meets Carmen Sandiego. You can't find me. Oh, you meant my for like social media purposes.
Yeah.
Instagram, Fish Ganja Guy, and also YouTube, but you're gonna have way more frequent updates on Instagram.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
As always,
That was
pretty funny. I'll never tell you. No, just kidding.
You'll never want.
No joke.
So you guys can find me YouTube channel is Potent Ponics, as always. We also do a separate show on Thursdays called Growing with Fishes. It's more of a grow show. We get all kinds of aquaponic and cannabis guests on that show, as well as industry folk do different things in the aquaponic or cannabis industry. So definitely check that out.
Lots of knowledge.
Yep. Also, be sure to check out Ouroboros Farms, ouroborosfarms.com. They're located in Half Moon Bay, California. I teach a bunch of classes over there. I will be helping teach the commercial aquaponic class on the 11th, 12th, and 13th. And then there will also be a medicinal herb class on the 15th and 16th I'll be teaching. And there will also be the aquaponic cannabis class on the 19th and 20th. So definitely check them out if you're interested in any of those. All right, now that we got that out of the way, let's get to the news articles for this week. Unless you guys had anything you wanted to bring up before we get started.
No, let's roll.
Cool. Alrighty. So the first article we have this week is Tennessee legal weed fight that is heating up. So this is from salon.com. Tennessee's legal weed fight heats up. No one's ever died while medicating on cannabis. So right now they're trying to get a decriminalization bill passed in Tennessee, and yeah, it's right now it's in their current legislation.
That'd be great. I'd move to Tennessee. That's the next state. If we actually touch Tennessee, I'd be gone. I could drive back and see mom and dad from there.
Well, yeah. Tennessee used to be one of the biggest hemp producers in the United States, so it only makes sense.
Yeah, I got friends up there. Yeah, man.
That'll make a lot of people happy.
So the bill would also prevent local governments from creating their own sanctions against cannabis. To still make it a heavier penalty, it would decriminalize having less than half an ounce. And the state house voted 65 to 28 in favor of the bill.
Excellent.
Yep.
That is excellent news. That's going to force this out. Wow, that's like there on the Bible belt's wrapped all around that. North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. That is going to have a major impact because that's all in South Carolina. Hugh Weathers, the head of the Department of Agriculture, has already said years ago, we need to get this done. We need to be the first one in the Southeast because otherwise it's going to be just like the lottery. And I don't want to digress to the lottery, but it's the same kind of thing. He said, we need people coming to our state spending money, and they did nothing about it. And if Tennessee, that borders, oh man, people be leaving South Carolina or going across spending their money in Tennessee, that might just push North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia to get off their ass. Yes, let's just get this done. We don't get to be happy in the South about cannabis legalization generally. So, that's
right.
exciting.
So the next article is from thefreshtoast.com, the facts on endocannabinoid deficiency and medical marijuana. So this was just kind of a cool article I wanted to throw out there. It was posted this week, and it basically explains a little bit about the history of the endocannabinoid system and how in the 1980s people they were trying to figure out how it is that cannabis worked on the body, and that's when they discovered the endocannabinoid system. And they still don't know a whole lot about it, but they're discovering more and more that it's closely tied with certain chronic diseases such as migraines, certain nerve disorders, and a couple of other things that are directly tied to cannabinoid deficiencies. And it's just kind of a cool article. We'll be sure, as always, we post the articles in the comments. I know I forgot to post last week's. I do have them. I will post them. I did just forget to throw them up there, so I will fix that. But just a cool article, and I wanted to throw it out there. So there's currently a study being done in the University of Colorado on the endocannabinoid system on a collegiate level. So
about time.
So the next article is the cannabis.co. We love them. We do cover a lot of articles from them. They do a lot of well-written stuff. EPA won't regulate pesticides on cannabis crops, leaving consumers at risk. 3 to 4 of every 10 samples in one company's tests reveal the presence of pesticides that shouldn't be used in cannabis. And in fact, Fish Ganja Guy, would you like to touch on some stuff? You had a couple of interesting experiences with people growing recently.
3 out of 4, huh?
Yep.
Wow.
Anyways, I guess he's had to duck out for a second, but he had someone ask.
Oh, sorry about that. My mic was off.
That's right, brother.
So I part-time at a hydro store just to help out a buddy right now. And in the last week and a half, I've had one person today come in and talk about how they've been spraying Avid for their mites. I'm like, and he said, what else do you think I should do? First thing I said was, stop using fucking Avid.
And don't smoke that pot.
I had somebody come in talking about how they've been using Eagle 20 and how great it is. And I'm like, you're giving people cyanide, flat out, that combusts into cyanide. It's like, yeah, but the half-life isn't that long. I'm like, you're an idiot. It's super long. Stop using it. But that's kind of how it is. There's a lot of people out there who just keep using shit because people tell them, oh, this is great. Don't worry. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. But they don't do any actual fucking research. Anyways, back to you, Steve.
So,
thanks for the reading.
Yeah, this is from SC Labs. SC Labs said that 3 to 4 out of every 10 samples that they do comes up hot for pesticides that are illegal in most states. So this is why, again, we always suggest whenever we talk about IPMs, we always tell you, hey, use Colorado or Oregon's list of pesticides, because then at least you're guaranteeing you're getting something relatively clean, and you're not going to do anything that's going to harm anyone that might be consuming your cannabis, and it's just the responsible thing to do.
That's great advice too. Using that where they've got their shit together already out there, and they know what to tell you to use and not to use. So that's excellent advice.
And I do recommend to people certain products like Liquid Ladybug or Pure Nutrients, Pure Three-Way, which I know we can get.
Is Liquid Ladybug?
It's
What's the
20
active ingredient in Liquid Ladybug? I think it's just a soap, right?
No. It's a lot of essential oils like peppermint oil and some other stuff. But it's 25B exempt, just like a POW and those others. And I recommend those. I'm like, guys, this is better than just saying omni-listed organic. This is as clean as you're going to get, and it's effective. And they're just, yeah. So you guys have, do you know who does carry Avid? Oh my God, just die.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
We discussed that a couple times on the show too about Avid, and what was the other one you said, Fish? You mentioned the other one they always come in at
20.
Eagle
Death
20.
Eagle 20 or whatever it is.
Yeah, we do not recommend Eagle 20. You know,
that's fine if you have citrus plants, but and you're gonna just spray it on like a fruit tree. Yeah, that's fine, but it shouldn't be used on the fruit, and it shouldn't be used on the flowers, and you sure as hell shouldn't use it on cannabis.
And you shouldn't smoke it if you do.
Yeah, it's super, super toxic. And there's a crazy story I found from Cape Cod that we're going to cover later in the show about some other ridiculous shit that somebody decided to put on cannabis.
I lost a love in Cape Cod once. Oh, man. Takes me back to 1980 when I was touring with the Grassroots. Oh, man.
So there's 3 pesticides that accounted for a third of the 900 cannabis failures in Oregon. For Oregon's testing last year. The most common was spinosad, which is an algae-derived one, which I guess in the beginning wasn't made. I think Colorado allowed that for quite a long time.
And now it's being banned, you say?
Apparently it's banned in Oregon. So the second one was piperonal butoxide, which is a chemical that's used to boost the effectiveness of other pesticides. The third one was mycobutanol, which is Eagle 20. Chemical, because when you heat mycobutanol, it creates hydrogen cyanide, a poisonous gas.
That's something everybody needs to know too.
So,
know how to make some poisonous cyanide gas. Yeah. I'm sorry.
And it's sad because there's so many home remedies that you can do.
Yeah, PM is so easy to get rid of compared to some of the other things. Like it's easier to get rid of than mites are.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, people need to read up on what they're putting on their plants. Don't just listen to some idiot that says, "Oh yeah, this is what I use. It's perfectly fine."
Yep. Thankfully, you have some good people out there like Fish Ganja Guy, giving people good information and stores. So.
Yeah, keeping up with the products that are offered and what it needs to be banned and what is banned, and somebody like sharing it across the nation, since each state has their own way of doing it, so nobody's safe from state to state necessarily. It is good to have somebody that worked in the industry in that respect, and has to deal with people on an everyday basis coming in saying what they're going to use or what they're using that is toxic, So thanks.
Yeah, I'll stick with my 3-cigarette soaking method, boiling it, and then the hottest salsa I can find.
Nicotine and pepper sauce.
That's
a killer.
Smoking peppers?
Well, it sounds like somebody's on a porno chat getting tips.
Sorry.
Was that
forgot to turn the announcements off on the.
Oh, was that the chat?
On my phone.
Oh, your phone.
Yeah.
Anybody in chat tonight, Steve?
Let me look in a second here. Let's see. No one's asked anything. We do have people in chat though. We got six
Well,
people watching right now. So.
Oh, cool. We better get our shit together then.
Stop fucking around.
All right, what's next, Bo?
All right. It was just I wanted to reiterate that because this is something that if you are, and because we like to touch on what people should lobby for and against when they're talking legalization stuff. Make sure you're asking for pesticide testing and potency testing, because just like alcohol, you want to know what the potency is and what the proof is on the bottle, so that you can figure out how much you should be drinking. You can adjust your own dosage. That's why this kind of stuff is important.
And also get in contact with your local universities and stuff like that. Places that will give you the information because they've already tested it and they know what. Like Clemson University in South Carolina, North Carolina A&T in North Carolina, and there's many others. Rutgers, Arizona State. I just did a Fort Valley State. That's another way of doing it. We give you advice, but if you want further advice, just call your state agricultural university, and they'll be glad to point you in the right direction and give you numbers to the representatives that represent your county and all, and you can find out what the deal is there, because you might even be buying something online that's against aid or requires a license. So be careful in that respect too. Go Tigers.
Awesome. All right. So the next article is El Paso County, or from the Cannabis.co again. Colorado medical marijuana dispensary owner sues county over denial of license renewal. It was like getting shut down over a parking ticket, the owner says. The commissioner put one of 4 dispensary owners in unincorporated areas out of business. They filed a complaint last month asking a judge to renew the board's 3-2 vote may deny a license renewal for his dispensary. Argued the board is absurd and its power-basing judgment over several minor violations were promptly corrected. So I guess he had a couple of minor issues and they took his license away completely. So says New Horizons plant inventory was inaccurate. The center exceeded its allowed plant count by 5. And many of its plants were improperly labeled according to the complaint. That's ridiculous. They were over by 5 plants and they're going to pull their license.
Yeah, we discussed this. Is this the same story we touched on last week? The same, or is it a different instance where they were over? Because we talked about another operation that was over their plant count, and got their license pulled last week.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just wondering. Yeah, but you know what? It's ridiculous, and I feel it's ridiculous too because you don't have any leeway. But on the other hand, you got a number, and it's legal. You get 5 over, like driving 5 miles over the speed limit.
No, because it's not that clean cut in Colorado though, because in Colorado it's based off of the number of patients that you have at your registered for your dispensary. So you can grow up to, it fluctuates from month to month depending on who's signed over to your dispensary.
Yeah, they should give some leeway there as long as your paperwork's straight.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So you could theoretically grow a patient's plants and then have them switch dispensaries or not renew their card or whatever and end up, in fact, the police could even set it up to where they had like multiple high plant count things with that. If they thought they were close and then had them all intentionally expire, like that's bullshit.
How does it work for being recreational? Don't they get a set amount?
So recreational would, yes.
So you just have to watch out. But yeah, it's tough. That's tough if you got people a fluctuating market because you're a caregiver and growing for people. There should needs to be a little leeway on that. 5 plants, I totally agree with that one. You know, I am always the devil's advocate towards, well, the law is the law, really, and as long as there is a law that allows you to do it, you should stay within the law and not get in trouble. But in this case, I actually agree with you. That's the kind of bullshit with a fluctuating situation. If it shows that, again, you got to keep up with your shit. I mean, you know.
Well, specifically in Colorado, the laws are written so fucky around that, where a dispensary can, you know, if they're a medical dispensary, that can fluctuate pretty severely, even from the 1st to the 30th of the month.
And
there you go.
What stage of life are these plants in? Are they vegetative? Are they mature flowered plants? Are they clone still? Are they rooted?
I said they were in veg.
All right, so they're rooted in veg, so that could still be a small plant. So yeah, might just try to make sure you're keeping the flow going, and that's really the most important thing. Otherwise, the supply runs out. Is what states have found out what when the supply runs out. If you're going to screw over a caregiver over 5 plants because he's rooting and got an extra 5 plants coming off his propagation area, then you're definitely putting a, you know, opening up the door for the meds to run out in that area or that state. As what states have experienced that, Steve?
Nevada, Oregon, Colorado, Washington. Washington, I think, was the worst. Oregon was pretty bad, but mostly because of regulatory idiocy.
And this is regulatory idiocy if they can't give some leeway, because that's going to be exactly what happens. The guy goes, okay, I can't, and none of us want to kill a plant. Once it's rooted, that's a baby. You know, you don't want to kill that thing. It's the hardest thing for a cannabis grower, caregiver, whatever you want to call it, licensed or not, to, you know, to put a good plant down, or, you know, to cull that plant just because you got to, you know, well, yeah, and I agree. I still say you got limits for a reason, and, you know, until we can get bigger limits, that's what it is. But if this is a case where I could see, yeah, and if you get all the growers across the state all having to make sure they don't even go 5 over with 5 rooted clones, they had 5 extra clones that rooted or whatever, then they're all going to back up and say, okay, I'll make sure I never have that happen so I don't lose my card. And then you're going to have a lull where they run out because they needed those 5 clones to cover, you know, whatever size group, you know, caregivers they are, and going from, you know, growing to a 1/4 pound or 6 ounces of plants up to a pound of plant, depending on their operation. 1 plant could be all they needed for a month. So those 5 plants could run them out in a quarter. You know, I don't know, what's the limit on that state? What's the limit?
For Colorado, what's the hard limit? I don't know.
Oh, no, where did this happen? Colorado?
Colorado.
And what's the limit in Colorado? Yeah, okay, I'm sorry, I don't know.
I forget what it is. Usually it's your cumulative. You have a base amount plus your cumulative patient plant count. And usually what you do is, so like at my old dispensary, I'd sign over half my plant count or whatever, and then I get 2 free grams of concentrate a month. And that was like half my concentrate I was smoking a month. Maybe I usually smoke 4 or 5 grams a month. So, you know, about a gram a week. Probably a little bit more than that now, though. Soon to have lost fish conjugate. All right. So the next article. Former congressional aide charged with extortion for LA marijuana dispensary. According to the indictment, Kibru told an agent that for $5,000 he would obtain a permit to allow the shop to stay open and persuade officials not to close the store. So, yeah. His representative for LA's county supervisor, Janice Hang, during her days in Congress, was arrested Wednesday on federal bribery and extortion charges related to a shakedown at Compton marijuana store.
Compton.
Gotta get paid.
So.
It's unreal.
Yep. It's fucking ridiculous.
And I know Compton's been having trouble getting their dispensaries up and going. I know they have a few going.
Well, yeah. Well, no wonder when you got people doing this shit.
Yep.
But
Well,
it just is like lubricating, the government is definitely something that happens a lot in the cannabis industry, like a lot.
lubricating. Is that what she said?
Lubricating government, yes.
I got picked up on it. Just new terminology. Yeah, okay. Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Not so much in the U.S., but definitely outside the U.S. Um, so the next, and that was from the cannabis.co. Next article is actually one of the biggest articles we have for the week. So Senator Cory Booker introduces marijuana bill focused on racial justice, descheduling, and funding medical marijuana. This is federal marijuana legal legislation that seeks to address the disproportionate arrests for minorities and aid communities most affected by the war on drugs. It's basically the opposite of Jeff Sessions. So we'll see what happens to this bill. It's just a really amazing bill. It has a really awesome name. I'm trying to find the name of the actual bill here. So basically, the bill would remove marijuana from the Federal Controlled Substances Act, retroactively expunge federal marijuana use and possession crimes, incentivize states that through federal funds to change their marijuana laws if they remain illegal. So basically, forcing states to legalize marijuana. Withhold federal funds for prison construction or staff in states that have disproportionate arrests for minorities and low-income individual arrested for marijuana offenses, allowing individuals currently serving a term in federal prison for marijuana use or possession to petition the court for resentencing, creating a reinvestment fund for communities most affected by the war on drugs with grants in areas such as jobs training, reentry services, expenses related to the expungement of convictions, public libraries, health and education programs, among others.
When do they vote on this?
This was introduced last Tuesday.
I like that guy.
Well, yeah, we talked. We talked about it being voted on last week, and so they voted on it this week.
Well, no, that was different. So last week they voted to reinstate the ban on federal funds being spent to basically reinstate the ban on spending federal funds to arrest anyone who is abiding by state law under medical marijuana provisions.
Okay.
So the bill is called the Marijuana Justice Act of 2017. And if you haven't read it, a chance to read it yet, go read it because it's a really well-written document. It's not very long. It's only like a dozen pages. So it's definitely worth the read.
That's posted in our chat, right? For everybody?
Yeah, here, I'll slap it in chat too.
I'm sure the listeners out there will like that.
Share the love. But yeah, all the articles are always be in the comments at the end of the video. So the next article is from the Cannabis.co again. Cannabis company buys entire town for 420 friendly tourist destination. American Green will use the existing structures and build new ones powered by renewable energy to revitalize the town. American Green Inc. is the name of the company, and they bought the town of Nipton, California for about $5 million and plans to invest about $2.5 million over the next 18 months to create a pot-friendly tourist destination.
Wow, I think I'm going to invest in this place.
It has a general store, a hotel, a school, a building, and mineral baths.
I always wanted a general store in a community like that. That'd be my forte. I'd love to have
sell the picks and the shovels.
Yeah, well, I actually had a website. I did a general store thing with my produce teaching years ago, and I called it my place where I sold my nutrients and stuff, the general store, because I wanted to be able to have anything. I didn't want to just be grow related. I wanted to be able to, get you other stuff too, that wasn't just grow related. Because sometimes it goes hand in hand. It's not apparently grow related, but we adapt and we use ingenuity and things, that are not normally grow related. That's the kind of story I was trying to sell. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
I tend to ramble.
Yeah. So it does get pretty hot there. It gets well into the hundreds in the summertime. So it's not the best place in the world, but it'll be interesting to see how it goes.
100?
Mm-hmm.
Whoa. Well, I would assume that if that's the case, that they're spending all that money, they're gonna have an indoor grow facility.
Well, cannabis will tolerate 100. I know some of the worst days in Colorado would get up to 102, 104, 102 to 104, and it would get, pretty toasty in the greenhouse. We just kept them well ventilated and kept, misters on them when it was super hot. Mm-hmm.
See, that's the key, though. Yeah, a lot of people don't have
Misters
the money to run misting system. But
you can get a mister system for like a super cheap one for maybe $12 at Home Depot, and then you get one of those $15 box fans. And you put that in front of your plants. I mean, you could build something super low tech to achieve that.
I was thinking of a bigger grow for some reason. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but you could build 3 or 4 of those for 30 or $40.
I got a lot of friends that are on the forum, including two of our moderators live in Arizona, and boy, we hear about that out there. They're growing and they're going, it's 110 degrees. I tell them to put up a little structure, just throw shade cloths over it, and like you said, a big fan and shade cloth, because that shade cloth will really diminish the heat quite a bit. And that's the secret, really. If you're in a super high heat place with super hot sun, you can go up 50, 60% shade cloths. I started out with 30. I used 30. I used 50. I used 60. That's 2 30s overlapping, and I got some places where I just said 50. But all right, not to digress. We got into a gross type thing. Your back hurting?
Yeah, my back's pretty janked right now. That's why I was stretching.
Yeah, I can tell. It looked like I do that all the time. My back's killing me. All right. Anyway, that's all right. So we'll get off of growing. That's for Thursday night. But yeah, you guys out in those heat places. That's really the easiest and least expensive way to do a way that you can guard your plants is shade cloth. Go to any ag supply, tech supply, farm supply, and you can buy shade cloth by the foot.
Like a 30% usually is pretty good.
You can get and I've used 30% in Carolina when it was 105 degrees outside and it was hot. I tell you what, I run mine inside as opposed to over top of my plastic. I run mine across like made a barrier. Yep. And if you put your hand up through the middle, because I sewed 2 15-foot pieces together to make a 30-foot over my plants, because I grow vertically and I hang up on a string to an 8-foot, and that's how my plants grow up like that. So when I reached up above there and put my hand, you could fry your hand up there, the heat that you're getting off with just shade cloth. So we'll talk about that maybe on a Thursday night. We'll hit that hot weather kind of situation and what you can do. So there's a little grow hint for the week, and we'll talk about that later. Back to you, Steve.
We had an interesting question. Ruth says, yo, Poen, do you wash your dreads with a certain product to kill any mold or mites that might be in the rooms you're working on? I asked because I have dreads as well. Actually, so I use tea tree oil. Tea tree oil insects hate. It also makes your dreads smell nice. You mix a little tea tree oil, some lavender oil on it, and keeps your dreads smelling really good and keeps them from getting funky or moldy, or keeps bugs from jumping on them. When I go into grows, what I usually do is I tie my dreads up and I put on a tam, which is like a dreadlock hat, and then I'll put a shower cap over that just to make sure that I'm not, there isn't a chance of me bringing. So, that it's just how I handle that, and I think it's kind of the best way because then you're just putting a barrier on there. So shower caps are really good. Just make sure you get an extra large one. There's also a company out there that makes shower caps just for dreadlocks. They're specifically made for it. They're pretty cheap, like I don't know, 40 or 50 bucks. But if you have dreadlocks and you work in the industry, it's definitely worth the money. It's just like a shower cap. You throw it over your head, and you don't have to worry about it. But that is a good question. All right. Next article is the cannabis.co. California Rastafarian cannabis farm dispute ends with one man dead, 2 deputies shot. So,
What?
yep. What happened was there was some guy that was working there, and he got up pissed off at them. Came back with a rifle and started pulling plants out of the ground. The police called the cops, told the cops there was a guy armed with a rifle tearing up our garden. The police didn't really take them seriously, showed up, wandered up, and the guy just opened up on them.
Yeah, we talked about that last week too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
No,
sad.
I think that we talked about it on Thursday. We didn't talk about it on Monday's show.
Oh, is that how we did
It
it
hadn't
Thursday?
happened yet. Yep.
Oh man, yeah. So they didn't take the people that had their own cannabis grow going, that some idiot was out there ripping up their plants, and the cops came up and they just killed the cops straight up.
Unbelievable.
Well, this is my thing, all right? Why is it that in the cities the cops are being allocated enough money to buy tanks and grenade launchers and all this other shit, and these poor guys, these poor officers up there weren't even funded enough to have bulletproof vests? That's not right. What the fuck? Like, help these cops up there. This is ridiculous.
Yeah,
Like, that's not right at all.
All police should have bulletproof vests.
Yeah, exactly. I 100% agree with that.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
there's no reason why those guys shouldn't have had enough funding, especially in weed country like that. What the hell?
Yeah, because if you stumble around the wrong tree and you're in somebody's field, you could shot or blown up right there.
That's my point. That's my point. And they actually made a point in the interview. Apparently, the couple that are involved are pretty controversial. And I won't get into all that stuff, but they even brought up the fact that like they've called the cops before, and the cops didn't really take them seriously, and they never really come up there actually prepared for anything. And this time they ended up getting shot in the process, and in this, and again, I think the biggest thing that this shines a light on is how disproportionate the federal funds are going towards police departments. These guys absolutely should have had bulletproof vests, and they weren't provided any.
Well, you know how the bulletproof vests, you go to court, traffic court in our town, our small town,
Mm-hmm.
and they're in riot gear with bulletproof vests when you go in there in frickin' traffic court. So you know how they got their war gear? You know how they got that gear? They write traffic tickets all the time, and they bought it for themselves. So
that's two sheriffs, California sheriffs.
Yeah, that's
deputies.
bad. That's bad. That in California.
Why isn't they were able to get our sheriffs fucking
right?
Vest? That's not right at all. Like, ridiculous.
They might not have been wearing their vests. Do you absolutely know that they were not issued vests, or they were just not wearing their vests because it's uncomfortable, like a seatbelt?
Okay, absolutely. I don't understand that. And they ended up calling a SWAT team members, or called in later, and they found the guy who committed suicide. Or he died from the wounds from the the deputies. They're not sure yet.
I have to be a little controversial here. Why won't you talk about the controversial couple?
I don't know enough about it. I just know that they've had issues before. They own a couple of different places. They use a religious exemption for their thing, which generally doesn't go over well and this is all in Yuba County, which is north of Sacramento, maybe like an hour and a half.
Fair enough. Maybe we can research and have a follow up, because I'm sure if we have listeners out there, they're going, well, what the hell? We want to know all about it.
I don't know. I mean, there's plenty of different places online that have different chats on this.
To be scared?
No, I just it's stupid and I don't like drama.
Okay.
Just don't give a shit about other people's drama. Cannabis.co is the next article. Officials may ban marijuana advertising at Las Vegas airport. Nevada County clerks are grappling with how to limit advertising at Las Vegas International Airport. Um, so, and what kind of advertising they're going to allow. Now in Jamaica, they ended up putting the damn dispensers in the exit to the airport. It's ridiculous. Not that, I mean, before there was guys with backpacks waiting at the door full of weed, but now they have them inside. So, the farther you get from the airport or the city, the cheaper the weed gets, and the better it gets. So don't buy it from that guy.
Right. Don't
Hit up
buy
your,
from the first store you run across. Go down in the country and find a
yeah,
homeboy.
at least ask the security guard at your resort. You know, he'll hook it up.
There you go. Good. That's a good point. Yep. Be nice
No,
to the security
they all got
staff.
side hustles. So next article is again from the Cannabis.co. Homeland Security will waive environmental laws to build Mexico's wall. The reason why I bring this up is one of the things they bitch about the most about growers, especially in California, is how much of an environmental impact they have. So they're just going to build this damn wall regardless of what the hell they're going to disrupt ecologically. And you know, I think it's kind of hypocritical that they do that and still go ahead and rail against the cannabis industry. So,
But it's going to be a solar panel wall.
I still think the solar panel wall is the best thing, the best idea I've heard so far for it. Because seriously, if you had a wall with solar panels on top of it all the way across, you actually could power like half of the United States, at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah. And go ahead and build wind farms everywhere there's wind.
And put the turbine. That would be put
Yeah,
the vertical turbines underneath the panels, like they have in
You
the
could definitely
Caribbean.
power that 50
These
wire.
short little. Yep.
Yes, sir. I'm all about that. I live in a high wind area, and I'm trying to save up. I never get there, but I'm trying to save up to where I can build my own wind generators and power my farm by that, because we got 14 mile an hour average wind. And
We are in no way Trump supporters, by the way. I just
Oh no, but if you're gonna if you're gonna build it, put solar panels on it and wind turbines everywhere, and yeah, we're all good. And you know, at least you will get some money back from it. You know, maybe electricity. We won't have to start another war for oil. You know.
Somebody from chat says if you really want to capitalize, you need to build a wall of Home Depots.
And you got good labor. You got good cheap labor to boot.
So yeah. All right, we'll get to the next. The next article is from the Cannabis.co. Want to influence Massachusetts weed industry decisions? A regulatory board now forming. So the Attorney General and the Governor are taking applications for they each name one member on the regulatory board, and 3 elected officials will be together appointed the remaining 2 members. So I guess they're going to have 3 things you can apply at the governor's attorney general's office will be accepting applications until August 15th for both her individual and joint appointments. So if you're interested, you can go apply right now. So definitely, if you're not doing anything, you want to help support the cannabis industry, go do that. You know, I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah. That's going to grow to add a
It's kind of
bunch
crazy, but it's interesting.
I love it. I love it.
The next article is from the Cannabis.co again. Ohio medical marijuana program faces potential glitch. No one's willing to perform required tests. Ohio medical marijuana law requires a state college or university test cannabis products before they're sold to patients, and no Ohio state college or university wants to work with them. So they have a problem.
Yeah, how's that going to work out?
Exactly. That or they're gonna have to rely on third-party companies like, you know, SC Labs or some of the other people. Who do you like, Fish Ganja guy?
They're called Bud Genius, and they're in Southern California.
Okay, Bud Genius. So kind of another company. So yeah, I think that's kind of interesting that you know, they can't get anyone to work with them. So again, they haven't thought out all these cockamamie schemes that they try to implement.
It's all going to bite them in the ass in the long run.
Yep. So next article is marijuana fight puts Congress on collision course with Sessions from cannabis.co. Congress is heading a confrontation with Jeff Sessions. Oh, just because they put forth that bill with Cory Booker. So they just kind of talk about how the growing momentum and the amount of money, and even the Veterans Affairs Department, as well as the you know VFW and everything else, everyone else is pro cannabis now. It's you know pretty much impossible for Jeff Sessions to really make any kind of political changes at this point. So it's kind of interesting thing, and it's kind of it'll be real curious to see how this bill with Cory Booker pans out, to see if this actually does pass or if we still need to wait longer on a federal level. I mean, that'll change things overnight in a way that you guys
Wow.
can't possibly imagine if that actually goes through. So
That would be amazing.
So there's an article here called from Cannabis.co. Colorado Cannabis Investments Funds members owe $4 million in suits in other states. So there's a company called Colorado High Yield Cannabis, or Colorado High Yield Fund, based in Longmont. Longmont's pretty interesting. It's a pretty cool town. I lived there at one point. But basically, the website was a little investment firm seek to accrue and pay out no less than net 15% dividends to investors. They made no mention of legal issues or teams facing it. The reason why that's a problem is you have to declare if you're in lawsuits or any kind of legal things, and they have multiple lawsuits in other states for defrauding investors. And a couple of other things. So yeah, always make sure that, basically I wanted to bring this up because you always want to make sure when you're investing with a company or using an investment fund or investment firm, make sure you're doing your homework. You know, there's a lot of scam artists out there, and you know, you want to make sure that you are properly you know, doing your research.
Because if people get ripped off a lot by this company, and you look up the name of the company on Google or whatever search engine you might use, I'm going to tell you right now, it'll come up. You will see complaints. You'll see a list of complaints. It just it's like that now. So lack of due diligence can cost you dearly this day and age, especially trying to invest. Yeah, for sure. But you can easily search for that name of that company like this. Did they use the same name from state to state, Steve?
No. But they're also at a company in San Diego, that company in Alaska, Washington, Oregon, branches of the company that were in there, and that they had under investigation by a joint Department of Justice task force, and a bunch of other things. So
Okay, so that's something we get out. Have to get that off thing and post that to people on the forum too, because we got a lot of older folks that might be thinking about investing and want to make sure they don't invest in companies like that.
all right. So yeah, no, I mean they were under federal investigation for some of their other shit they were pulling, and yeah. So
that's probably tax evasion then.
Yeah, I mean, sure, it was something to do with that. The next article is from Cannabis.co. Sessions raises serious questions about Colorado's marijuana management in a letter. So basically, he basically complained how Colorado cannabis wasn't staying in Colorado. Said that how they weren't guaranteeing it was staying out of the hands of kids, and basically a bunch of other stupid ass bullshit that was not at all based on facts or data. and
Well, it's
sent the
not
same
standard
generic.
Colorado, but
He also sent it to Washington State and to California and to any state governor who's legalized.
well, that almost vindicates it, though. If he's complaining that your pot that is legal is leaving your, he just made our argument for us. He just made an argument for us. He's saying your pot's legal, it's leaving your state, and that's no good. Well, wait a minute, then just make it legal and let it all the states have it legal.
So Hickenlooper, who's the current governor, and I just want to say, like, Hickenlooper is an asshole. Hickenlooper called in the like really ultra violent. There's a couple of groups of cops in Colorado that are particularly violent, and those are the ones he sent in against the protesters in Colorado on multiple occasions for multiple different events. So I'm going to state that because it's a personal issue I have with that ass person. So anyways, so Hickenlooper met with Sessions in April and talked to him about the regulatory structure, tax structure, and how the state's using the tax revenue to support enforcement efforts of illegal activity. So, and again, they're just going to keep fucking with people and, keep doing the raids and shit until we get some kind of total breakdown of this, because there's no reason they should be kicking in doors over cannabis at all. It's stupid.
People get hurt that way.
So the Department of Justice met with 20 representatives. Dude, cops get hurt that way. We talked about that 2 or 3 weeks ago, where the cops raided the house and ended up shooting each other because they're not. And this goes because ever since the recent thing where they had and John Oliver covered this too with the Border Patrol, but to a lesser extent it's happened with the broader police department. They can't get anyone who's worthwhile anymore to be a police officer, so their hiring standards have gotten so low, and their training they're cutting back training so much just to get these roles filled, that these guys have no idea what they're doing, but they're armed, and that's why you're seeing this huge increase in shootings and stuff like that.
And people get busted for growing tomato plants in their basement.
Yep, we talked about that last week. That couple, I forget what state that was in, they had their house raided over tomatoes, and they were former CIA agents, which was interesting.
Yeah, I wonder how that all turned out.
Yeah, I feel like that couldn't have been the only reason why they ran into their house. Maybe there was some other reason, but Colorado officials presented the Department of Justice with a slew of charts, data, information about marijuana regulations, how the state is addressing public health and safety and law enforcement concerns, and a presentation provided by Hickenlooper's office for the Department of Justice. So that's kind of interesting. So, yeah. Washington also got the same letter, and the governor of Washington highly criticized Sessions and his views on it.
He's a shithead.
Well, yeah. The racist Keebler elf.
It's just, I don't know.
I still can't believe Sessions, again, the guy that was so racist, he wasn't allowed to be a federal judge during the Reagan administration, arguably the recent height of, that kind of thing in government.
But there's no credence to what these guys keep saying and fighting.
Exactly. They're just regurgitating bullshit.
Let the money flow to the children and the old folks.
No, they just have oral diarrhea.
Yeah, it's proven. It's proven. Your facts are totally bullshit. I mean, how is our country run by all these people? Well, all right, well, you guys elected his ass. And
No. The problem is that we had one person who stole the primary, so you can't vote for someone that's usurping democracy. Then the other person was Donald Trump. So you have a felon, and then Donald Trump, who is a felon on multiple counts. So they both sucked.
Fraud. Well, he's a fraud.
And they didn't put in the people that could have actually won. Neither party put up someone that could actually was electable. So
So you guys, we're not Democrats or Republicans here necessarily. We're for the best
No.
thing for people. But both of them suck. Both of them had no right to be running for president. Because what
Yep.
happened to being an upright, without reproach, with a reputation beyond reproach, is what you used to have to be to run for president. Now,
Yep.
we know that didn't always happen. But you know what? Most of the presidents started out with the notion that they were going to do good. Then they ran into our this partisanship bullshit, and nobody can accomplish anything.
Yep.
You know, so
Next,
don't blame the president. No matter how fucked up he is or stupid.
well, we can blame this president. It's fine. The
Well,
next
or
article is
stupid. I was trying to be indirect. I said, or stupid that he may be. When does the fucking president start tweeting every fucking day?
well,
Okay.
he's not. He's not. We don't have a real president. This guy's just a man child. That's fine. I mean,
Oh, God.
is a man child and half orangutan. I don't know what you want.
We'd be more serious about it if we could somehow figure out how we could actually get real candidates that were actually trying.
We just need a Secret Service member to do a citizen's arrest on him for any number of things. The next article we have is mainpublic.org. Committee recommends against adding marijuana blood level limit to OUI laws. The committee convened by Maine Department of Public Health and Safety says it doesn't believe that Maine needs to set a limit for determining whether motorists are impaired by marijuana. Recommends is likely to stir debate among law enforcement officials and legislatures as implementation of voter-approved recreational laws plods forward. So again, because there's no scientific basis that smoking will make you any more of a dangerous driver. Obviously, if you get plastered, yeah, of course you will. But you shouldn't, a medical patient versus someone that just started smoking, a medical patient might have 5 times the guy that first started smoking and still be clear of mind. And that's
I think I'd trust somebody on that than a teenager that's driving now, because them
exactly
idiots don't know what they're doing.
Yep.
Well, you kind of get tunnel vision, I think, when you get a buzz too. You just tend to you're just
You're
walking.
more likely to stop at a green light or take too long at a stoplight or a stop sign, but that's about it. You're not going to be speeding. You're not going to be doing reckless shit.
Right.
You're going to be extra cautious.
You are. Well, I don't think it's a matter of being cautious, because I don't think it derails you. It's the mixture of alcohol.
Yes.
That is really dangerous with cannabis, because if you're drunker than shit and you smoke some of the high premium stuff that is around these days, it will fuck you up, and you should not be driving even with any cannabis after you've been drinking. So
well, it sounds like you're describing my stuff when you talk about that kind of potency. Fish's stuff will fuck you up.
Plug his potency.
Only we smoke the bus, man.
But you know what I mean? You can smoke all day and never get sick, but if you were drinking and all of a sudden you don't have no weed, and you're drunk and shit, your buddy comes up with that killer shit, and all of a sudden you're about to die. You feel like you're gonna die. So it was the alcohol in the first place. So
I know the last concert I went to, I made at least 4 people throw up because they'd been drinking and they had no idea what was coming.
That's what happens whenever I put in some of my rosin in like a blunt or a joint or something. So I smoke with some people I'm chilling with. Like the other day I did that, and everybody at the table just sat there and looked like I had just like roofied them or something. They just were not used to that much THC at once. It was really funny. They just sat there all stupefied, like, what did you just smoke?
Right.
It's fucking funny. Anyways, next article we have is from crrh.org. It's called the Hemp News. So, U.S. Department of Justice Task Force recommends against sessions targeting legal marijuana providers. Department of Justice Subcommittee on Medical Marijuana is not recommending any policy changes that would target state legal marijuana programs or businesses operating in compliance with state law.
That's excellent. I saw that this week too.
There's a lot of people going down on sessions.
Yep. So
they put a lot in place. There's billions of dollars.
I just want to ask if we can rephrase that people going down on Sessions bit, real quick.
There's nobody going down on Sessions. Well, I can see like
No.
a Keebler elf
come
that
on,
maybe was highly addicted to opioids.
If he wants
Going
to
down on him.
yeah. Let's get off the sex life.
So, one other thing I wanted to bring up in this article is 29 states, District of Columbia, and the U.S. territories of Guam and Puerto Rico now have medical or legal marijuana. If you include CBD, it brings that number to 42 states, the District of Columbia and Guam and Puerto Rico. So that's a lot. I mean, we're down to just 8 states. I know people don't bring that up a lot, but if you just count CBD laws, or if you all include CBD laws as medical, we're down to 8 states left, or 6 states, or some ridiculously low number. This is the reason why it's not going to go away.
That's a big win, and it's billions and billions of dollars too.
And you never hear anyone bring that up, but it's true. So
yeah, that's it. It can't go away. It's because now you're getting. I think you're getting. There's so many doctors that admit it now too, and that's the thing. There's still doctors that fight it, but they're being paid by the pharmaceutical company. So
my doctor loved it. My doctor loved it. He was like, "I wish they'd get their head out of their asses." And I'm in one of the very last states that it'll happen.
Well, see, that goes back to age and renewal, like renewal of how you can vote the senator out that's still blind to the need for just letting it go, use the resources and the tax from it to make the whole country better. And also in that case with the doctor, the younger the doctors are, the more there you have read the real results. They're not I'm sorry to put this on doctors my age, but I'm sorry, but it's doctors my age that still won't give it up.
Mine's actually in his 60s, and I was very impressed.
Well, I got to say, my dad's open as hell to it, and he's 84, and now he won't do it. Okay. Now, we haven't got to that point where I've had to talk them into CBD oil or anything, but no, because my parents are doing pretty well in their 80s, but they're open-minded about it. So, my dad was military. So, well, he's military, then he worked for the city. He worked for the county of Charleston and the city of Charleston and retired from both. And so he was always in the service of one way or another in government. And so for him to be open-minded, and this has been for a long time, but it also has to do, I won't go too sideways, but it has to do with me being open with what I do and what I've done in the past, so that we could have that kind of relationship. But my parents are open-minded as hell about it. So I think that's the big thing is that you do have some of the older people that see it, but I still think that we're going to be getting a lot of young doctors that know the truth. And so it's just like politicians are going to die off. Unfortunately, I don't know if we'll ever see all the justices die off so we can have a bunch of justices that don't have their head.
We're going to put term limits on justices. This is no more of this lifetime appointment shit.
I could see even 20 years or something. I could see that maybe.
No, 10 years max. No government position should ever be longer than 10 years, regardless.
What bugs me more about it than anything is the fact that Obama should have been able to name his justice, because the justice went away during his administration a year before, and the Republicans refused to follow the law and the Declaration or whatever shit. I'm off, but maybe Steve will correct me on this. Whatever paper it's written on or document that's written in that, they were way out of bounds, refusing to appoint or even consider appointing a justice at Obama. Because it was Obama's he was the president when it came open, and Congress is supposed to allow that president to post up and if he wanted to be conservative, I actually think Obama would have picked somebody really good. I don't know. We'll never know.
He did pick someone really good, and they blocked it.
I mean, good for everybody though, not for people. Good for people. Good
No,
for
it's time
human
they put in
beings.
somebody far left and move this
Yep.
country back to where it actually is instead of this continuing to push the country far right. But that's a whole other discussion that we're getting off topic too much. The next article is flyleaf or leafly.com. State lawmakers group urges feds to deschedule cannabis. Um, in a sign that state lawmakers across the U.S. are warming to the idea of legalization, a national conference of state legislatures is urging the federal government to remove cannabis from the Controlled Substances Act and allow states to set their own policies around the plant. Not only would such a move respect the individual states and group policies, argues the resolution adopted Monday, it would also improve public safety and ease the cannabis business access to banking services, which is badly needed, which we've talked about multiple times.
No shit.
Yeah, can't have these people holding.
But it's real surprising to see the National Conference of State Legislatures come out in favor of this. That's pretty crazy.
Well, it's all about money again. You know, they're not getting any benefit off that money.
Yep.
If they had that 500,000 a week that dispensary was bringing in, that's a lot of interest, a lot of loan interest.
And it's sad that that's actually a bigger priority than their constituents getting held up and shot at gunpoint.
Yeah, but in the end, it's kind of whatever it takes.
Yep.
I agree, David. But it's whatever it takes in the end for that. You know, if it allows. See, that's the thing, though. You know, we don't want to get off again too much because we need to move on. I'm sure, but because we started to have fun a little bit ago, and we've been really dragging out topics.
No fun allowed.
No fun allowed. But you know, the fact that you need to get this money out of these back vaults of these dispensaries that are providing all these meds, because it's ridiculous that they actually have to. You basically need to have your own armored truck if you have a dispensary, you know, or your own giant vault. And in fact, I know a dispensary where they bought a old bank because it had a vault. So they bought an old bank and set up their dispensary there because it had a walk-in vault.
Yeah, a lot of dispensaries use that for their their stuff.
That's bullshit. But yeah, it's all about the banking industry going, you know what? We are losing a shitload of money. And so that's why it's nice, though. It's good. That's good news. And whatever it takes, we can disparage them for wanting the money. But they were going to get the money anyway. If the federal law didn't make them stop getting the money, they were going to have the money. They would have had the money. They would have been doing business and making money off the money. But now they're actually saying, wait a minute, you took that. We complied with because everything's federally insured and blah, blah, blah. But now, you know, we're losing so much money. And once they all get in line, that, you know, that's just another, you know, it's happening overnight after it's taken forever. Everybody's going to say it happened overnight, but it's kind of, I'm looking at it. I'm sure you guys are, we talked about it tonight. So it's like only 8 states haven't done CBD oil. All right. You know, it's kind of happening overnight. And so, you know, this is another good news.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you want to like see if you're gonna have a heart, you know, if you just want to increase your chance of having a heart attack, definitely try to become an owner of a cannabis business.
Couldn't imagine the bullshit you had to put up with.
Oh, you have no idea.
I know.
Next article is.
All right, the next article is from BusinessInsider.com. UK, the first ever medical marijuana conference to convene October 25th and 26th in London. So I thought that was pretty awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Because they've been pretty closed-minded over there about stuff like that.
They're trying really hard to push for a medical thing. The UK actually provides the cannabis for CW Pharma, which is flown over here. So
that's funny because they got some bizarre laws over there.
Yeah, there's
Any friends I have.
half the busts you see in the news articles are in the UK.
Many friends I have, it's a nightmare over there, kind of. Hopefully, it is changing. I guess I haven't talked to them lately, but we keep having articles from the UK that seems to say that the temperament about that is changing. So that's good for the people in the UK and all my friends out there. That dope fiend, the dope tribe.
The next article is from lolsun.com. Experts see federal crackdown on marijuana unlikely. This is a bunch of university and industry experts got together, and I think it was Massachusetts, and kind of convened. And I talked with a bunch of lawyers, talked with a representative from the Department of Justice, and basically they don't think anything's going to change, especially after his, like we talked about earlier, his little study that came out, basically the opposite of what he was hoping it would. So.
Such a shame.
Right. Next article is greenrushdaily.com. Mexican lawmakers are laying the groundwork for medical marijuana program. After President Emmanuel Pineda passed new laws in June, Mexican lawmakers are laying the groundwork for medical marijuana. So they started this week on drafting the rules for medical in Mexico, cool. And it'll be interesting to see how this all shakes out.
That is so cool. That's got to piss off Trump too. He's got to build that wall to keep.
Canada and Mexico both are going to be legal. So it's how long are they going to keep it illegal when you have both of your countries bordering you with medical and recreation?
And all the U.S. going to Mexico and Canada to buy their marijuana instead of buying it from American farmers. Because what do you think is going to happen with all that medical marijuana weed they grow down there in Mexico?
Next article is from BismarckTribune.com. North Dakota Department of Health looking for labs to test medical marijuana. Sound familiar? State-approved laboratory will collect and test representative samples from registered medical marijuana manufacturing facilities. Each batch must be tested for microbial contaminants, mycotoxins, pesticides, mycotoxins as molds, pesticide active ingredients and residual solvents, heavy metals, and active ingredients and concentrations. An active ingredient concentration kind of THC and cannabidiol. Those interested should send a letter of intent to notify the Department of Health Department of a laboratory's interest to become accredited laboratory. So far, they don't have anyone that wants to sign up yet. So, if you're looking to open a testing lab, North Dakota.
That'd be a big investment. How much you think it costs to put one of those together, Steve? That'd be
lab?
Yeah, that'd be a big investment.
On that scale, to do a whole state, I mean, at least $4 or $5 million on the low end, and that would be like with an existing building.
Yeah, that's why not a lot of people have applied. And it's in North Dakota too, right?
Yeah, it's not exactly known for being weed friendly.
That's interesting, though. That's very interesting. Huh. Yeah, but they're up by Canada,
What was that? I'm sorry?
They're up by Canada. They're right there at Canada. So a lot of like-minded individuals, perhaps, because just because we say North Dakota's not been weed friendly, is that not necessarily, it's not the people, it's their government's attitude, right?
Yep. So in Linden, New Jersey, on Friday, Cory, the next article is from northjersey.com. Cory Booker kicked off his legalization tour. He's going to do a little rally across the country in Linden, New Jersey on Friday. So we talked about the bill, but it's kind of cool to see that he's doing a little promotional tour for the bill, try and raise interest in the bill. When asked for a response, Governor Christie said it was beyond stupidity. So,
Go Christie.
You know what's beyond stupidity? Chris Christie's grocery bill.
Oh my God.
That guy needs to get the hell out of office. He's a corrupt bastard.
He still think. Well, I think he still thinks he's going to get to run for president again and be. I think he's like a lap boy. See, he
He needs
looks
to
like
be
a lap boy.
arrested for killing that lady on the bridge with that ambulance incident.
He's done a bunch of crazy shit that should have, you know. It's amazing that what people will vote in to run their where they live, their state or their city. I don't know, or their country. But Chris Christie is funny. Yeah, he brought us a bunch of good fodder, you know. And like you said, we all love John Oliver. We love John Daly. John Oliver came through and produced John Daly at the end, and you know, and he is. I watch that show every freaking week. In fact, now that I think about it, if he's not on vacation again, I'll be watching that show tonight after this show because I love that show. He's fucking hilarious, and we kind of agree on a lot of shit, but it's common sense. That's the funny thing about it. People say it's one side or the other. No. It's not we're on one side or the other. It's common sense. What is good for people, human beings, the earth. You know, that's what we're.
In chat, somebody said, no one lives in New Jersey because Christie ate all the munchies.
Yeah, but they got some cool senators there.
Yep. So this one's from Newsweek. Illegal marijuana farms dump shocking amount of toxic waste. And this is mostly referring to butane cans, liquid fertilizers, pesticides, and other things that run off into the streams and end up affecting trout and salmon populations, particularly in Northern California. So, also as poisoned rat poison as well. They found quite a few. So, you know, just one more reason to ban butane, at least the smaller production. You know, if you're doing the big giant, you know, commercial scale stuff, that's one thing, but you know, they really need to crack down more on the guys just using cans. So, all right, the next article is from reviewjournal.com. North Las Vegas says marijuana ownership info private. Now this is good and bad. It's good because sometimes some of these cannabis owners get targeted for extortion, like we saw with that state official earlier, former White House official, or I'm sorry, congressional official. They also get kidnapped sometimes. That happened, I think, to somebody in Colorado, and a bunch of other stuff. Just kind of puts you on a list. You know, makes it known. It's also good because then they can tell if there's the reason why I guess for it is you can tell if there's a shadow group coming in and trying to take over your industry. You know, tell if someone like Monsanto or Scott's or someone like that was trying to you know, snap up all the ownership, or someone was related to a senator that happened to get greenlit, or you know, whatever. You know, there's some reasons why it should be public knowledge. So it's kind of an interesting double-edged sword. I think we talked about it maybe once or twice on the show, but you know, it was interesting. So for Clark County, as far as licenses go, there's 35 cultivation licenses, 24 production licenses, 25 retail store licenses, 4 testing labs, and 3 distributors. Las Vegas, there's 1 production facility, 12 retail stores, 3 testing labs, and 0 distributors. In northern Las Vegas, there's 27 cultivation licenses, 21 production licenses, and 4 retail stores. No testing labs and no distributors. So, be interesting to see. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting topic. Next article is from inc.com, inc.com. Cards Against Humanity donates $70,000 to help legalization of recreational marijuana in Illinois. The Profane Card Company is donating money to Marijuana Policy Project to help support adult use legalization efforts in its home state. So, Cool to see Cards Against donating that. I know they had, I don't know if you guys remember, they had like a thing to donate where they were just digging a hole in the ground somewhere. So, sorry, stupid ads popping up. I thought that was pretty interesting that they were, donating. So, thought I'd give them a shout out. I think a lot of people on the show or follow the show listen to Cards Against. So, yeah, Cards Against is awesome. It's definitely not one you want to play with their family, or definitely one you want to play with your friends.
Well, that's lost on me. I'll check it out later after the show.
Oh, okay. It's a very offensive card game.
Oh, okay. That's all I need, something offensive. Oh, yeah, actually, I'd probably be good at it.
Next article is from benzinga.com. Largest marijuana dispensary group in the U.S. now takes debit payments. So the biggest group of dispensary owners in California, I'm trying to find the name of it. Shoot. That's what happens when you have read too many articles before the show. So basically, for those of you guys that don't know, before this, okay, so the solution is from a company called CanPay, which is a technical platform that allows debit payments. It's a little funky, but allows people to run debit payments for the cannabis industry without any of the normal shell game stuff that goes on. So, but it's available at places like Harborside and other places that are more known. So
that's an interesting. That's just basically private banking taking over, right?
yeah,
because federal banks wouldn't allow people to. Yep.
Yep. So Harborside's the largest medical marijuana dispensary chain in the U.S. More than 200,000 registered patients. So
they're mainly based out of California, aren't they?
Yep, they're right over in San Jose in the Bay Area, South Bay Area, Oakland.
South Bay Area, Oakland.
Well, the Bay Area is San Francisco.
That's above San Francisco, then, right?
No, they're like eastern San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
Oakland's kind of just east of San Francisco would be eastern Bay Area. Sacramento isn't really the Bay Area, but it's close enough. And then you got like San Jose, which is kind of the same thing. It's close enough, but not really. And then, the
Steve froze up.
Yeah, he froze up.
And Fish just went away again. Well, David, what's been going on with you these days? You got any news? Did any article catch your mind, or anything tonight catch your mind that you wanted to touch on? You missed, or are you?
I'm just chillaxing and listening. It's nice to hear all the good news about everybody going against Sessions.
Well, that is big too, where you have legislators doing
it only gets in the way of the will of the voters.
Oh, so you're back.
Oh, God damn it. All right.
You got a double whammy going on now. Let's see. I got a potent and a picture. Yeah, you froze up a while ago. I don't know if you've been talking to yourself or what. But,
did you guys hear the article?
No, we've been actually talking amongst ourselves because you went away.
The internet here cut out at where I'm staying then, at the hotel.
It's cool. We were covered up. We just to finish. Yeah, we were just rehashing the fact that it's great that all the legislators and all are getting on board with this against the hierarchy of the U.S. government and trying to get this all passed and straightened out. You got bigger fish to fry, So we're back to Steve with the next article or the last article. Yeah, you froze up.
BostonGlobe.com. And it's Governor Baker picks pot advisory board include anti-pot police chief. Basically, Governor Baker on Friday appointed 5 people to the state's Cannabis Advisory Board, a group of experts who help regulators draw detailed rules of pot policies and forthcoming recreational marijuana policy. And one of the members of this board is a police chief who's completely anti-cannabis and has no reason for him to be on the board. You know, um, it's just stupid. You know, would you put a prohibitionist on an alcohol board? No, it makes no. There's no sense. It doesn't make any sense. Would you put someone that you know doesn't believe in I don't know whatever? I don't know. I'm not gonna go down that road. I'll end up offending somebody.
They always put somebody from Exxon on the EPA. You know, the head of the EPA is generally somebody that works for Exxon. So the same thing. That's what you're trying to get across, the, analogy.
Who would put the fox in charge of the hen house? You know.
Yeah, Exxon running the EPA. Perfect.
So it's just ridiculous, and this is why you need to make sure they don't have these stupid advisory boards when you have a legalization bill. They don't have the stuff that allows them to come in and usurp the will of the voters. I mean, look at even what was it, Massachusetts or whatever recently, where they changed the tax limits on it. You know, before it even got implemented. What did tax people vote for, or what did the voters vote for? They voted for a 10% tax, not a. What did they settle on? I think it was 18 or 22. Whatever it was last week.
They don't have a right to change a law like that. That's ridiculous.
Not after it was passed by the voters. So, and then this is more of the same, where they sabotage it with these assholes like this douchebag, and then go in and try to intentionally sabotage these bills. So,
this is what is the most important kind of articles to me. When the government is not doing the will of the voters that voted them into office, and then the voters.
The same guy says it was illogical to think that licensed medical dispensaries would not be fronts for illegal distribution and money laundering. You know, he has no place being on this advisory board at all.
Well, and the number one, the money laundering really wouldn't have to come into play at all if you let them put their money in the bank.
Well, and this is the cops are the number one money launderers in the United States. I mean, look at all this public seizure bullshit. That's money laundering 101. They're highwaymen. They're highway robbers.
Yeah, that is actually. Yeah, that's kind of like the. You know what? Yeah, we fought a revolutionary war to break away from England, and now that's what we have.
Well, that has to do with
all your money and then use your money against you.
And then more has to do with them getting too much weapons post Afghan Iraq war, but that's a whole other.
But that's policy. That's policy. That's not the good men and women that serve. That's policy. That's nothing to do. We're not saying we hate cops.
No. I'm saying that was a Bush administration that allowed those weapons to come back and be used for law enforcement, which they have no place to be used in. So the next article is from the IndieChannel.com. Indiana lawmaker pushes for medical marijuana to help curb opioid epidemic. Indianapolis Republican lawmaker plans to file a proposal for legal medical marijuana and hopes that it could help curb the state's opioids. Representative Jim Lucas, Republican, said he has heard from several people in his district who believe they would greatly benefit from the drug and that it would help with the opioid epidemic in his state. Lucas also cited research on medical marijuana, which was sparked after learning Indiana Tobacco and Alcohol reportedly raided a store for selling CBD oil. I think we talked about that last week, the grocery store chain.
I think we should let David address this a little bit. Yeah. Well, anyways, he's right out there. He's got the CBD oil. Oh well, I guess he's sleeping now. I don't know.
Indiana State Department of Health found it was 60% increase in reports of non-fatal emergency room visits due to opioid overdoses from 20 to 2015. The same time, opioid-related deaths increased on average 3.5% per year. So we got to do something about it.
Wow. Yeah.
But it's nice to see even people that generally are opposed to cannabis legalization out there trying to get it promoted. So
And it's to get rid of opioids, which is what needs to happen anyway.
Exactly.
Oh, you're back. We thought
Oh,
you might. We thought you might want to address this article here because of you weaning yourself off of prescribed pharmaceuticals and methadone and using cannabis, and this is what the article was about.
it's just another way for them to make more money using pharmaceuticals. Pissed off because they can't make any money doing it the good old-fashioned way using cannabis. All it boils down to is money because they can't control it, and you know what? Tough shit.
Yep.
But we can already see the writing.
That's why the VFW and all the military, I mean, there's people are seeing past all the bullshit, and it's just time for it to end.
Yep.
Well, that was a little, that was somewhat of what it was. It wasn't really addressing what the article was about so much, was it? There, Steve. Did I maybe a quick summary?
Yeah, that was just a summary that they're going to introduce a bill in Indiana soon.
Yeah. So. Oh, it was about India. Okay, that's why I said it was kind of out there and closer to, a little bit closer to Kansas than I am. So.
Sure. So the next article is from Time.com. Marijuana is the new moneymaker for wedding planners. So there's a huge boom in Colorado and Washington State in cannabis weddings and cannabis related stuff for weddings. So.
Wow. I really have to move out west.
So marijuana knowledgeable wedding coordinator called Best Bud costs between $50 and $100 an hour for a day of event help. So
how do you help? What does that mean?
So Coop recommends one bud tender per 35 smoking guests and charges $25 per hour per bud tender.
Okay.
You can have an unmanned bar for $300 if you don't want to pay for a bud tender on top of that. But you really should have a bud tender, especially at a wedding. Too many people that don't know how to smoke anything or never seen a dab rig or whatever.
Interesting. That's bizarre, but interesting.
They also have Coop also provides smokable wedding dresses.
So much for saving the wedding dress for your daughter, huh?
Colorado weed wedding business. Colorado weed wedding dresses, single bud, marijuana bouquets, and other things. It's pretty awesome. So I thought that was pretty cool. See an article on Time too. It's interesting.
That'd be cool because everybody could go there. Like you sign up for plates, and so you could sign up for strains. And so once somebody picks this one strain, you have to buy another strain, and then the bride gets like 12 different strains of cannabis for her wedding bouquet. That'd be pretty cool.
All right. So the next article is Virginia Lieutenant Governor Northam calls for decriminalization of marijuana. So I thought it was pretty cool to see Virginia's Lieutenant Governor Ralph Northam call for decriminalization. I thought that was super dope.
That is, again, that's a bordering, not necessarily bordering with us, but bordering in part of the South, the Southeast, in the Bible Belt, and that is big time. Tennessee and Virginia, it's just, once again, here we go. I'm looking.
It says Virginia spends $67 million in marijuana enforcement, which is enough to pay for 1,300 kids to go from for pre-kindergarten. So.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say you could build several schools. You could build several new schools and staff them with teachers for that kind of money instead of and pay the teachers well for a change too. Don't get me started on the teachers.
Oh, it's even sad because even in the town I'm in, there are 4 elementary schools and there is one school nurse and 2 aides that are there half the time that have to take care of all 4 elementary schools.
So they're like their nurses are circuit nurses instead of being in the school. So if your kid gets injured, they got to wait for somebody to come to that school. Oh, that's a multi-million-dollar lawsuit waiting to happen.
It's ridiculous.
What happened with that? That's another big issue, of course. Wow.
It's been going on for years. And I mean, the money that they can make off of this to help these fucking schools, the teachers that are teaching the bullshit that they are, and go back to the way it used to be.
Well, job creation. Look, you got a full nursing staff. You could have a freaking doctor at every school.
You can't make a living on
Have the weed doctor.
Yeah, well, that's not. All right, Steve, get back in
Blood
that.
tender in every lunchroom. No, just kidding.
Okay.
Just kidding.
But no, really, you could literally have you could have a doctor in a school for that, with the kind of money that'd be coming in, that'd be available for schools, and stop this petty any shit, and make our schools you want to make America great again. You better make the farms great, and you better make the schools great. And the schools have gotten a lot better, around here in my lifetime. It's amazing. We didn't have air conditioning when I went to school here, and now they got these new awesome buildings, like things like you see in Texas and Ohio and somebody's California, Colorado, where they pour tons of money into their schools. A lot of them. Now, poor communities always suffer. So
again, they only pay their teachers $30,000 a year. They don't give a shit about them kids. The Common Core is ridiculous, and it's a joke.
Well, that's getting way off topic talking Common Core, but yeah, you're right. For those of you that understand, well, younger folks, especially parents, would understand what Common Core is, I guess. So.
All right, the next article is from DenverPost.com. Roger Goodell talks marijuana and its potential in treating player health in the NFL. I thought it was pretty cool to see the NFL publicly come out in support of medical marijuana, especially since it has been proven to be a neuroprotectant. That's what the U.S. government has a patent on it for. And that's something that they definitely need in that sport. So,
and 9 out of 10 NFL players who were tested for a certain head injury, all 9 out of 10 of them came back with this injury, and it can be treated with cannabis.
Yep. The players' union is advocating for cannabis as a use of alternative for painkillers because of all the issues they have with painkillers.
Right. Yeah. Hey, and that'd be awesome, because then they would have to take the pharmaceuticals, which we all know what happens to you with the pharmaceutical drugs. And so what if they can get the question is can you ever get the professional athletes to stay within the limits, or are they going to go ape shit? I don't know.
They'll have their own brands of cannabis.
Yeah, probably have their own freaking warehouses of cannabis. So. But, I think it's great, though. I think that athletes shouldn't be, shouldn't be chastised for marijuana. The days of coke are, kind of, I don't know, they're not gone, but I think it's not as prevalent as it was 10 or 20 years ago. But cannabis, is time to just get off the athletes too, because you know what, a lot of them are just homeboys. They just want to kick back and smoke some weed and relax after they just went out and got their ass beat, on the football field. But I'm not going to feel sorry for them since they're all making millions of dollars. But I will say that, yeah, as a former athlete and a college athlete, I think that they should get off of that with cannabis. it's just, as an athlete, you grow up thinking about you're not doing anything, or putting anything in your body. But let's face it, it's 2017 and everybody smokes pot. And it's just crazy that our football players or basketball players or baseball players are getting suspended and losing their job over, like anybody else would lose their job over smoking cannabis in a legal area, especially like, you like Denver. Huh? Yeah, don't inhale. Like Bill Clinton, he smoked pot, but he didn't inhale. Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah. So
segue.
Next article is sunsentinel.com. Florida issues 2 more medical marijuana licenses. Florida issued 2 more licenses that adds to the 7 that were already active, so that brings them to the total of 9, which is way too few licenses for the state. They're expecting as many as 500,000 patients in the next year, so that is not enough growers.
Yeah, we keep
and
talking.
Here we go. And the Loops consider the front runner in a contest for license in part because grower's exclusive relationship with CWB Holdings. Who is CW Holdings? Charlotte's Web assholes, the Stanley brothers, the con artists that rip people off with their garbage ass low potency medicine and don't actually help anyone and sell people false hope. The biggest snake oil salesman in the entire industry, right? Their own little lobbyists and everything else. So
they need to be put out of business.
Yep, no, they do, and hopefully one of the projects I'm working on will help achieve that because they need to be run out of the industry.
Well, they give it a bad name.
Exactly, they really do. Not only that, they intentionally hurt other growers. So, it's ridiculous. All of a sudden I can't. Oh, there we go. So next article is from capradio.org. Calaveras auditor says sheriff misspent cannabis funds. Calaveras Board of Supervisors decided to regulate medical marijuana in 2016. They took $3.7 million in fees from people who wanted to grow medical cannabis. Anyways, they found that the sheriffs misspent a ton of the money and basically just blew 900,000 of it on stupid shit, and then had no way to, prove that they had, what it is they did with the money. So they're being, criminally investigated now. So.
Unbelievable.
There's a next article from Leafly.com. Sessions attacks Washington's cannabis law in a letter to the governor. So this is that same letter he sent to the guys, the governor of Colorado, basically touting a bunch of unsighted ass bullshit, and saying that legal cannabis leads to increase in home explosions and a bunch of other stuff, which is just fucking ridiculous. So.
Idiots lead to home explosions.
Yep. But anyways, so that's it. We kind of touched on that earlier, so there's no reason to go over that again.
Yeah, that's the same article as earlier.
This next article is kind of the same thing. It's just a different, kind of a collective one, the different governors' responses. We already touched on that. So, all right. So now we got the bullshit ass articles of the week. We actually did a show pretty quickly today, and we had 40 articles. I think it was 35 something. So this is from the voiceofsandiego.org. Pot entrepreneur wants the babies of Lemon Grove and La Mesa to pack their bags. As pot entrepreneurs rush to scoop up real estate in cities to clear regulations allowing dispensaries, they're running up against rules about how far away they must be from places like daycares, schools, and churches. Some are approaching daycares with offers of cash and other deals if they agree to move or shut their doors. That's awesome. That's not awesome, but that's ridiculous that they're offering to move these daycares and pay them off in order to move. Daycare center representative in La Mesa. This is just ridiculous. Awesome isn't this is crazy. Not it's a good thing. It's just totally
Yeah,
nuts.
because I mean, what's the local people going to do where the kids are supposed to go to the daycare? Where are
Where's
they
the
going to?
dispensary supposed to be if they put all these freaking
Well, no, I don't agree. No, but when they're saying, well, we're going to buy up all the daycare. Well, what if you live across the street from the daycare and you're a single mom and you can barely afford daycare, and now they move it, like half a mile away or a mile, or how far away do you have to be? And then that's an impact on families in that neighborhood. So I'm not against it. I'm just saying I always think of that stuff. Like the people that are living there, not the dispensary. There's still an impact on the people that live there in that neighborhood right now.
I'd almost guarantee the dispensary would hook them up and put them in a better place than they were to begin with.
Well, yeah, I'm sure. And so the
Yeah,
daycare centers in La Mesa and Lemon Grove have been getting some strange offers. Marijuana entrepreneurs have been knocking on the doors, offering owners money and other deals to relocate or shut down entirely.
right. So shut down
Lemon
entirely.
Grove passed a law saying that the dispensaries must be more than 1,000 feet away from
Oh,
a thing, which most of the state, I think it's 500 feet or so 800 feet. I don't think it's 1,000. So,
that's doable for you. So the kid can walk another 200 feet. So yeah, okay. I didn't get that part. That's the
but
part
then
that
they include a map that shows like everything that's within 1,000 feet, and it really does block out like most of Lemon Grove. So I mean, the guys do have a point here. Finding space for legal dispensary is even made it more challenging because the state law that mandates the address of an in-home daycares be kept confidential to protect people's privacy. And you can't be within 1,000 feet of an in-home daycare center. But it also makes figuring out where dispensaries are actually allowed even harder.
yeah, that's really kind of ridiculous. Yeah, that's you know. Hmm. Well, see, they've gotten away from a
So
lot
out
of
of
in-home
17 business
yeah.
owners that applied for applications in Lemon Grove, only 3 were granted allowed to advance towards approval because of these ridiculous being too close to in-home daycare centers or daycare centers. So
Yeah, I think they're getting a little carried away with the indoor, I mean, in-home daycare centers, because they would not be right there on the street, by the business. It'd be different at the daycare center that's across the street. And all right, I don't want to, I don't want to ever be, say really negative stuff about it, but let's face it, every human being and every cannabis pot smoker is not a good person. So, if you end up in a situation where you got hundreds of people lined up down the street and there's a daycare center right there, I don't think that's a good environment to have that situation with young children outside playing in that yard and exposed to a bunch of adults in any situation, whether they're lined up for pot or lined up to go to the movie or anything else. So yeah, so it's probably it's a good, but it's only 1,000 feet. So my argument about moving them is null and void as far as if they're willing to pay them and pay them off good. Yeah, it makes they could either have a better daycare center or a better way of life by moving down the street, and that should be and that's pretty cool that there's a possibility of that happening. And I agree that I don't even know schools. I definitely stepped aside on not having that kind of thing. I don't want a liquor store across the street from the school, and and again, I don't.
you know why? You know why it's not a problem? Because they card you at the door.
Well, they card you.
You know what? Colorado, since 2014, has never had a single dispensary fail to check ID and sell it as a minor. Not a single time, and they've tested them and tested them and tested them. Tell me when the alcohol industry does that. Then we can talk about which one should be allowed near a school.
I'm talking about.
I think advertising, yes. I think if you're R1, you can't publicly advertise with I'm totally cool with not publicly advertising any kind of thing that looks like a cannabis plant, but you absolutely should be able to locate it. We got to stop with these stupid zoning things. It does nothing to stop or prevent anything. I can see not putting a butane extraction place next to a school because it can explode. I could see not allowing, a cultivation facility right next to a school. That's fine, but a dispensary, a point of retail sale, there's no logical reason why.
Everybody's beyond reproach and has great moral character that's going to be lined up down the street across from that school.
I don't think that it has any difference in moral approach than a church or a restaurant or a doctor's office. No.
Well, I
I'm gonna have
think having
to
young
agree with you
children
on that, Steve.
out with in the situation where we've seen hundreds, and if it wasn't this way, but it is, where you have hundreds of people lined up to get into a dispensary across the street from a bunch of young children playing in the yard. I do not trust all 1,000 of those people. I'm sorry, I don't. I do not
I
trust
don't,
all
but
1,000
they're
to
no
be
more. They're no
letting young
different than
people
any
out.
other than 1,000 people who go to a grocery store. In fact, that might be crazier,
Yeah,
arguably.
but
See, and that's
I
where they
don't
need
know
to
of
get
any
out.
grocery stores next to schools either. But I'll let David
They have
talk.
them in Philadelphia all the time. Liquor stores too.
Oh yeah, Philadelphia.
Convenience store that sells cigarettes can be next to us, directly across the street from a school.
Well, that's Philadelphia. That's inner city. Let
Right.
David want to say something.
Hell, even where I was in the country, we had a liquor store directly across the street from the middle school. I looked old enough in middle school to go buy beer, and shit, I had no problem going and buying it.
Yep.
You can go to these high schools nowadays, and these kids look like they're in their freaking 30s, and they're only 17 years old.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, that's true. Meth.
But it's interesting.
If
So
you got
this,
every dispensary and they have not popped a single one for not carding, what
Yep.
the hell does that tell you right there? They are more
I'm astonished.
responsible than the alcohol industry, period.
Yep.
I'm astonished that that's a true fact. That's, I mean, it goes right along with there's never been a cannabis related death, you know. So
I can't speak for Washington or other states, but I know for Colorado, that's 100% fact.
that is bizarre because see, cannabis isn't a human being. Cannabis is just cannabis and hadn't killed anybody. A
No, it's
human
because
being fucking
you
kill
have
people and
you have to
cheat,
check.
steal, and lie,
Yeah.
and it's amazing. That's all I'm saying. It's
You have to
amazing.
check. They have to check your card on camera for every patient, and they can lose their license if they don't. So it's that simple.
Yeah. Well, there you go. How do you solve it? There you go. Rest of the states out there. But that still astonishes me. Yeah.
So now they said a few of these folks have worked with the dispensaries and accepted their offers, and the businesses have disappeared or moved. Then we'll get document from these daycares that they no longer are in business. That happened a few times already. So, everyone's got their price. This is one of the most bizarre things that we've talked about so far about the dispensary people and the daycare owners and the dispensaries trying to pay them off. Like that, who would have thought? Like this is the funky ass world we live in because of the current state of regulations. But it's just one of those really bizarre cases that. And this is why I like doing this show. We cover once in a while some of these really wonky and screwy.
That's a good one too.
Thanks.
I love that. That is cool. That's cool. I bet them people are happy that accepted too. Like hell yeah, we were drowning over here.
All right. So, all right, and the last article we have of the week is from patch.com. This is in Massachusetts, and this one made me really fucking pissed off. Fentanyl-laced marijuana eyed in Cape Cod near death. Cape Cod man is revived with 2 doses of Narcan after police say he overdosed possibly on fentanyl-laced marijuana. That's fucking crazy. Like, if you do this, like, I hope you get into a horrible car accident because you should you're a fucking psychopath if you're giving people fentanyl-laced weed. Like that's just insane. No one should ever do that.
That's nuts. Never even thought of that.
Yeah.
Well, what would you? I mean,
Yeah.
I never think putting anything on my weed that's gonna make it do anything but be itself. I don't know.
Apparently, the guy and his girlfriend smoked the weed out of a bong, and the girl told him they didn't know that it was laced, and yeah, caused them to overdose. The victim had no pulse and wasn't breathing when they got there. So, and there's also, we went back and we were talking about this last week. This is why everyone should have Narcan. Police should have Narcan. the postman should have Narcan. The people in fire departments should have Narcan, because and now granted they need to call 911, but when they use it, but because you need help right away, you still need to be treated pretty quickly, like we talked about last week. But it will save people's lives.
But you have to
offer it for
immediately
sale over the counter. Yeah.
do offer it for sale now. I was going to ask that, but yeah, we made a point of that last week of clarifying that even though you use this, it doesn't mean just lay around and die. It means get your ass to the hospital, because
Yeah.
alive.
Just buys you time.
Yeah. Buy you some time. Perfectly put. Yep. One step from the end of the plank.
Yep. So, alrighty, that's all the articles for this week. Thanks everyone for watching. Be sure to check out ilovegrowingmarijuana.com. You can check out Roger and Hogmaster over there.
There you go.
Or Chicken Hole, or I don't know what name you have on there. I'm sorry.
I think I got it all changed over to Hogmaster. Next week it should all be fixed, hopefully.
Yeah, so just check out Hogmaster or Latewood at ilovegrowingmarijuana.com if you want to talk to us. When you join up, just put the @ symbol before our name, tag us with the @ symbol, and we'll be glad to help you in your growing needs.
From start to finish, guaranteed.
Yep, for sure. And Steve, you're Mr. Potent Ponics, and you do Ouroboros, and what else do you do? Anything else you want to tell people about how to reach you?
Just on potentponics@gmail.com, or check out the YouTube channel. Yeah, I got a better computer again. Well, at least one that's slightly better than the one I was using. So after my other one died on me, so I got to I should get the rest of the SoundCloud stuff fixed up now. So
cool.
Yep. So we'll have that up. I'll have the SoundCloud up to date here in the next couple days. And thanks for everyone for watching. Yeah. Check out Ouroboros Farms if you're interested in taking any of those classes I mentioned at the beginning of the show. And thanks for watching as always. See you guys on Thursday. Take care.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Thanks for everyone watching in chat.